I'm going to make this very simple for you, Dan. Men should not play sports against women. I'm not going to get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. If anybody thinks that, I think they're stupid. I'm not, like I say, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not, under any circumstances, under zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody have a problem with that, they're going to have to get over it, because I'm not going to change. I just think it's wrong, period.
Which are what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for women.
Before the game, you had a conversation with Sophie Cunningham.
I did.
If you want to share what you talked about, feel free. But more of my question is just how important is it to have those like in-person conversations with people that
I think it's
have
great.
Different views?
I think it's great. I think both of us understand that we have platforms, and we both talked about wanting to, more than anything, educate, and there are some things that...
Charles Barkley just said the one thing that many people across the sports media world have been reluctant to say out loud, and he said it without any hesitation. Appearing on Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley made it clear that he agrees with Sophie Cunningham and her position that men should not compete in women's sports. He delivered the message in the same direct, no-nonsense style that has defined his entire career. Whenever he believes something straightforward is being intentionally made far more complicated than it really is.
But I'm never going to think it's all right for men to play sports against women. And I don't even think that's controversial. That's the thing that's funny. Like some of this stuff like when you see these debates on television, like, yeah, men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. I don't want to hear you try to explain it to me. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to argue with you. Men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. There's a lot of we can argue over. That ain't one.
Let's rewind to where this story actually began. Sophie Cunningham sat down for an interview and spoke plainly, saying she wants to protect young girls and women in sports, and that she believes competition should remain separated by biological sex. There was no name calling, no attacks, and no criticism directed at any specific player. It was simply a policy opinion shared in response to a direct question. That single response is what sparked weeks of nationwide attention and widespread debate, in it is the very same statement that Charles Barkley was responding to when he decided to publicly share his own opinion.
You don't see trans men going and saying, I want to play football, I want to play basketball, I want to be... Why there's no trans men going into men's spaces? Why is it trans women that's going into women's spaces? Show me the last time a trans man was on a podium in any sport. Show me the last time a trans man won in cycling, cross country, football, they played on the team, volleyball team, track and field, 4x100 meter relay on track and field, steeplechase, name it. Show me a trans man that have been competitive. Show me one. Show me one.
What has been happening to Sophie Cunningham since that interview has gone far beyond simple disagreement. She has been getting booed every time she touches the ball on the road. Some arenas have displayed banners aimed directly at her, and the WNBA has appeared slow, almost hesitant to step in and say enough is enough. It has started to look less like fans expressing frustration and more like a coordinated effort to make an example out of one player for sharing an opinion that many people privately say they agree with.
Why the fuck are y'all booing Sophie Cunningham at every game now, man? This is what we doing to Sophie, trying to villainize this woman when all she did was what, stand?
The booing coming out of Portland said everything. Every time Sophie Cunningham touched the basketball, the crowd erupted with loud boos powerful enough for the broadcast microphones to capture every second. She never flinched. She answered the reaction the way true competitors usually do, by knocking down a shot right back at the crowd that was jeering her and letting the scoreboard speak for itself instead of holding a press conference.
All of the crazies out there are now protesting her at WNBA games. So much so that a coach from another team pulled Sophie aside to have a few words with her and just let her know what she had thought about what Sophie said. Guys, Sophie Cunningham is probably the most popular athlete in the WNBA. If she goes bye-bye, there is no more WNBA. Additionally, have you ever seen Sophie Cunningham play ball before? What on earth makes y'all think that she cares about a bunch of crybabies complaining about an 80-20 issue? Literally, no one wants men and women's sports. It is highly unpopular, and the only people that do want that are people who have likely never played sports before in their lives. So.
But the boos are only half the story. Banners have appeared at road games carrying messages clearly intended to shame Sophie Cunningham over her ESPN comments, and arena security has reportedly stepped in more than once as tensions escalated between fans holding opposing signs. It is extremely rare for a WNBA game to generate this level of crowd conflict over something that happened completely off the court, and that alone shows just how far this story has grown beyond basketball.
Super respectful. We're just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this lady, older lady, comes up to us, and she comes up to us, and at first I think she's gonna be nice, and then she asks like, "What are you guys doing?" Something like that. And then it was like, "Jesus loves everyone." That's what she told us, and I was like, "Oh, I know. Like, I'm religious. Like, I know. Like, I know."
Nice.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I hope Jesus can forgive you for what sin you've done," and like something like that. And then she told us that we were effing insane.
And she's like, and she went like insane.
Yeah.
She's like, you better stop this
and stop pulling this. Yeah.
And
for you guys
I
to
hope
come
God
here
can
and
save
pull
you.
this. Yeah.
She said for you to come here and pull this shit.
Yeah.
She said the word.
Yeah.
Did she say effing insane or?
No, she said the word.
And nobody around you spoke up for you.
No.
I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah, I've never been yelled at like that. I mean, I've had people hate on me on the internet, but like it doesn't really affect me as much because it's just people on.
Then came the moment that truly blew this story wide open. A Seattle Storm co-owner, Celeste Catton, confronted two teenage fans sitting courtside over a sign that simply thanked Sophie Cunningham for speaking up for girls in sports. There was no hostility on the sign, no attack on any player, just a message of appreciation. Catton reportedly told the girls their presence was insane and suggested they needed forgiveness, and by the end of the night one of them was left in tears. The league eventually fined and suspended Catton, but only after days of intense public pressure. Once the video spread everywhere, that was the backdrop Charles Barkley was speaking about when he finally addressed the situation on air. He was not just commenting on a policy debate in theory, he was reacting to a controversy that had already affected real people. Two young fans came to support a player they admired and left deeply shaken after an adult in a position of power decided their sign was worth confronting.
Sophie Cunningham has said that males, biological males, do not belong in women's sport. That's it. That is the rational, sane, commonly shared stance. It's a safety issue. It's a fairness issue. It's not an anti-trans kids campaign, but this coach saying, oh, trans kids are well... this is what they do. The straw man argument. She is trying to say that Sophie is against trans kids and she's excluding them and this is evil. No! It's so dumb. It's so evil. It's so calculated. And this is how they silence people.
Charles Barkley did not stop at simply agreeing with Sophie Cunningham. He went a step further and delivered a direct warning to the league, reportedly saying something very close to "Y'all need to be extremely careful about how you handle this." He argued that trying to punish a player for expressing an honest opinion creates a dangerous precedent for everyone involved, including players, coaches, and league officials, that carries far more weight than it might first sound coming from someone with Barkley's national platform and long history of speaking his mind regardless of who it upsets. What made the moment even bigger than a single television segment was that Barkley was not the only established sports voice willing to say it publicly. Once his comments began circulating, other figures from completely different corners of the sports world started offering their own reactions, and many of those reactions did not align with the WNBA's official posture on the controversy.
So she just says what's true. She says common sense thing, and she gets so much backlash. She's like, men should not be playing in women's sports. Why is that so, like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's a simple statement. She stood by it. That's what I love about when people say things. Don't back down. If you say something, stand by it. And she said it. She backed it up. She's not backing down no matter how much heat she gets from certain people. It's an 80-20 issue. 80% of the country think it's true, 20% don't. The 20% is crushing her. Let them. Who cares? But I love that she didn't back down. I love everything she stands for. She plays hard. She's good. And like I said, I don't watch WNBA, but I like those two girls right there. Yeah, she's going to get backlash from the girls around her and other teams. And, you know, it's a liberal and mostly gay league, which is fine. I have no problem. My daughter is gay. No problem. I got no problem with that. But the way they push things on people, sometimes I don't like it in the WNBA. That's why I'm not a big fan of watching their games and supporting it.
Former Chicago Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher was one of the first major football voices to weigh in, saying plainly that he could not understand why an honest opinion about competitive fairness was being treated like a scandal. Kendrick Perkins, the former NBA center turned ESPN analyst, took a more measured approach but arrived at a similar conclusion, saying players should be free to answer questions honestly without having their entire season turned into a judgment of their character. Shaquille O'Neal, never one to stay quiet for long, also shared his thoughts on his own show, suggesting the entire situation had been blown far out of proportion by people looking for something to be outraged about. It was not only retired athletes joining the conversation, either current broadcasters and former Olympians also began speaking out, which made this story much bigger than a typical sports talk debate. Sage Steele, who has previously spoken about fairness in women's sports, publicly supported the two teenage girls who were confronted by Celeste Catton, saying the way they were treated reflected poorly on the entire Seattle Storm organization, regardless of where anyone stood on the broader debate.
We're trying to almost weaponize the word kid and children to, dig deep on the feelings of people instead of the facts, which are what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for women. So I just hate it when words like that are weaponized. And Sophie Cunningham made it very, very clear from day one, when, by the way, she didn't bring this up. She was asked by an ESPN reporter about this topic and she answered. And then as the controversy brewed, she went on Twitter and said the same thing, which is, I am not trying to exclude anyone. Everybody is welcome at my table, but this is the WNBA.
Sage Steele's comments carried extra weight because she was not approaching the story from inside the NBA world the way Charles Barkley was. She looked at it through the lens of a longtime broadcaster, someone who has spent years covering major sports controversies and understands the difference between a player expressing an opinion and a player attacking someone. Her view was that Sophie Cunningham never crossed that line and that the reaction to her comments revealed far more about the current climate than anything she actually said. After that, more voices quickly joined the conversation. Retired swimmer and outspoken advocate for fairness in women's sports Riley Gaines publicly thanked Barkley for using his platform to say what she had been arguing for years, although she approached the issue from an activist perspective rather than a sports commentary role. Golf analysts and even a few retired MLB players also shared brief comments across their social media accounts, with most echoing the same message that an athlete answering a direct question honestly should not become the target of a widespread campaign against her.
Do you think Sophie Cunningham's comments were anti-trans?
No, not even a little. Dan, she went out of her way to say, I love everyone. This is about science and fairness and protecting women. Because guess what? Until recently, women, we had our own sets of grievances. We couldn't vote. It wasn't that long ago. You really put it in the context of the history of the world. Women couldn't vote. We couldn't get, checking accounts without the husband's signature. All these things women fought for. Women to be able to be in the workplace. All of these things. Now that we've gotten those things and we've evened the playing field, somehow there's this other level of grievance come. It's always about grievance. And this is protecting what we've earned, not about hating on anybody else.
Perkins went into even more detail during a First Take segment, explaining that he has covered countless athletes who have made controversial statements over the years, and what stood out to him about Sophie's situation was how calm and consistent she remained throughout the entire moment, never escalating, never attacking anyone, even as the backlash against her continued to grow. Perkins pointed out that many NBA players have made much more controversial comments on far more sensitive subjects and still never faced anything close to the level of organized criticism that Sophie has experienced. But not everyone supported Sophie's side, and that part of the conversation cannot be ignored. Some current WNBA players and several coaches pushed back strongly, arguing that her comments, regardless of her intention, created an uncomfortable environment for teammates and opponents who do not fit into the binary she was discussing. Some sports commentators on other networks also criticized Barkley, saying he stepped into a conversation he did not fully understand, and that his comments simplified a much deeper and more complicated discussion about inclusion in athletics.